my work experience is that I worked for my dad in high school, and he delivered bread.
Before I started working there, we had like conversation on the phone, and he said, there's a guy who works there named Aaron, and you guys are not gonna get along.
And I always had a little bit of an entrepreneurial or maybe independent streak in me of some kind.
I remember, I don't even know how we got on the conversation, but it was about like, just like maybe like who you would marry or the kind of person that you would be with. And I just said like, I'm not gonna even date someone who isn't a Christian.
Yeah, I thought you haven't done this before.
Well, usually you do most of the talking.
Yeah, I do a lot of talking.
Yeah.
I was just on the phone with Simon for like an hour.
Well,
talking,
even just that. I just
talking about like high politics,
oh, that's
demoralization.
yeah. I just meant doing the podcast. I just get nervous, but it works out well because you talk more than me.
Yeah, but
and you know your clients better than I do. So
yeah, but you're a lot more natural than me at this.
I don't.
You're acting not natural now, but
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Did we want to do any kind of intro?
We'll do that afterwards.
Sorry, I didn't mean like the one like for the podcast. I don't know if we should be like we're just having a conversation today.
We're just having a conversation today.
Okay, fine.
No guest today. I am the guest, and RuthAnne is the hostess, with the mostest.
Yes, I've said kind of from the beginning that I thought we should do an episode where we talked about you and your business. Bonaventure Bookkeeping. Because obviously this is all about your clients, which is great. But if someone somehow stumbles upon this podcast that is not a client, then they should know about Bonaventure Bookkeeping.
Yeah, instead of random nonprofits. And
although they're great. But I just want to start. I thought since we co-host this together, we could also kind of go back into our story and like how we met, and which I like to tell the story because I think it's funny.
We used to have it like rehearsed.
We did. Yeah, I actually did feel like that. Not on purpose. It just like
some of those,
we both had natural
maybe some
like
of the gorier details that we used to have rehearsed aren't appropriate for a podcast.
Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know which one you do.
I don't know. Like I used to swipe right too much, you know?
Oh, yeah. Prior to us dating. Yeah. It's okay. That's all in the past. So I guess we should just say how did we even meet? Which is...
Well, I guess we could say how I got started in general.
Yeah.
So my work experience is that I worked for my dad in high school, and he delivered bread. Had a Bimbo bread, Thomas Bagels, Entenmann's Donuts.
He loves Entenmann's Donuts.
He had a route doing that, and so I had to work for him all through high school on the weekends, waking up at like 3 a.m. in the morning. Eventually, when I got my license, I was allowed to sleep in till like maybe 5 or 6 and meet him in the morning, unless it was like holidays, because I'd have to come help him fill the truck up because of how busy it would be. But that was my first job. Didn't want to do it, but retroactively now I love that I got to do that with him. Then in college, when I was initially paying my own way and going to college part-time, I worked in wholesale delivery again, but convenience stores, tobacco and candy, for a family business on my mother's side called Kaiser's Wholesale. Hope to get their accounting one day.
Shout out Kaiser's.
And worked there for a couple years. Did drop out of school. Told all my friends that they weren't allowed to tell their parents that I was dropping out of school. But one of my friends didn't tell his dad, but told another friend's dad that I had dropped out. Got a text from that friend's dad that that we should grab lunch, knowing what was coming.
You knew what that meant, what that was code for.
Absolutely. And so he told me I need to go back. I was like, yeah, it'll take so long, paying my own way, and I don't want to take out a bunch of debt. And so he offered to put me through school. And so he paid for everything from there forward except for my final semester. I paid myself. And not at my own virtue, but because he told me he always has two people at any given point in time. He's helping put through school, and he had two new people. So
He's like, sorry.
So he was like, sorry,
You're done.
you can finish it out yourself. So that was still very much appreciated.
Yeah.
And so he also was like, hey, when you're ready, when you're far enough into your degree, you can come work for me. So before I started working for him, I was a server at Toast on Market, RIP, doesn't exist anymore, in Nulu. And so then in the January of 2015, started working at Nice Ventures as a accounting intern. Just doing Nice Ventures was somewhere between boutique, private venture capital thing, but maybe something closer to a family office. And so we got all kinds of small businesses and real estate that I was doing accounting for. And I was there for 5 years, and during those 5 years, just continued to take on more and more responsibilities. Became kind of controller over several, business entities. And with the real estate, someone who came on board named Israel Snyder to run the commercial real estate.
Shout out Israel.
Brought you on board.
He brought me on board. Yes, I've known Israel and Allison, his wife, since I was like 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I mean, it was 2017, February of 20, no.
You were 9 years old in 2017?
No. February of 2017 when Israel brought me on as an admin assistant. And I don't know how long he had been there at that point, but he brought me on. And I had worked previously for his family business as I guess you could say some kind of administrative assistant or like front desk, because they rented cottages and such. And so I had worked for them for a long time. And when I was finished with college, he said, please come work with me at Nice. And so that was not quite a year after I graduated. I had moved back home, but I kept telling him, no, I don't want to. I don't know why I kept saying that I was serving and being a barista at the same time. So it's not like it was
boring
better,
office work.
Yeah, I don't want to be boring office. So then I finally came on at Nice, and I always think it's funny about our story is that Israel, I don't know if he'll claim that he said this, but okay, it was like he said it. Before I started working there, we had like conversation on the phone, talking about like when I was going to start and whatnot. And he said, there's a guy who works there named Aaron, and you guys are not going to get along.
It's huge.
He was like, he just thinks he knows it all and whatnot. But he said, but Aaron's moving. Because Aaron was supposed to move to LA. And like a few months later, I think. Mm-hmm. So he was like, so don't worry about it.
Go watch our episode with Max Neese.
Yeah.
I was still going to move with him to LA.
Yes. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of went in being like, okay, there's this Aaron guy, but don't worry, we're not going to know each other long. And funny how that turned out.
We hit it off right off the bat.
We did, like the first week. And I think I didn't even start. It wasn't like a Monday. It was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. And that first week we got in trouble because
Friday, because half the office was
the office was gone.
And we were just chit-chatting and laughing up a storm. Mm-hmm. And the director of HR called one of our bosses, like, they're just yapping away.
All they do is talk. And so we got in trouble.
She's a client now, and I just imitated her voice.
But we love you. And so, yeah, we hit it off right away, and we were like instant friends. However, I won't go into detail, but at the time, we just had very different perspectives on life and lifestyles. And I was really involved in my church at the time, and I was even like quasi interning. It was like
you were doing inner city ministry.
Yeah, I was doing inner city ministry. And so you at the time had told me that
I was living on Bardstown Road in a solo apartment, playing too many video games and swiping right.
Yep. And you claimed you were agnostic at the time.
I was.
Which that right there to me, I was like, well, no, sorry. And so, yeah, that was how we kind of first met. But we hit it off instantly. We were good friends, at least in the office. We didn't really at that time, didn't talk outside of the office.
Tried to take her to see the Power
He
Rangers movie.
did try to ask me out, and I
friends,
turned him down.
But I got turned down.
As just friends. I literally remember I was standing next to your desk and you asked me and I was like, no. And you were like, why? I was like, I'm not stupid. And I even also remember the conversation that we had. It was you and I and Dalton talking about, because there was another guy who worked there that you were friends with. And you and I's desks were kind of basically this distance apart from each other, probably.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Dalton was imagine there's a door
half
here.
Behind a wall,
yeah, half behind a wall.
Another 20 feet back.
Yes. And so we were having a conversation about
working.
Yeah.
While watching Hulu.
Don't call it out. Dalton can't defend himself. He's not here.
Yeah.
No, but I remember, I don't even know how we got on the conversation, but it was about just maybe who you would marry or the kind of person that you would be with. And I just said, I'm not going to even date someone who isn't a Christian, who doesn't share the same belief system as me. And you and I kind of had a little bit of a debate. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And
I was like, oh,
you were like, oh no, I think you could
do it.
You could do it. And I was like, no, you just, how would you raise kids? You just don't believe the same thing. You have different. And so even at this time, I lived with 3 other girls because we all did the inner city ministry together. And I would go home and say there's this guy at work, but he is trouble. He's not, I was like, I kind of like him, but I just know it just is not going to work. We just have different beliefs and mindsets and different lives. Mm-hmm. And, yeah.
But then, I don't know. All kinds of things happen in one's mind and heart. So we can speed through that, I guess. But ultimately, within the year that we met,
it was within 6 months.
It was within 6
months.
It was
pretty, because we were dating by late summer, I think.
I felt the weight of many things, and not just sin, but just even the trajectory of life and what I wanted to be and such. And so it was also when Jordan Peterson had kind of come on the scene, and he was one of the, even though he himself doesn't consider himself Christian or Catholic in the truest, definitely doesn't consider himself Catholic. Doesn't really consider himself Christian in a more straightforward way. But nonetheless, he spoke more intellectually about Christianity than I'd probably ever heard anyone talk about it, which then opened my mind and heart back up to those things and kind of deep dived into it. And then I remember you were coming back from
I was out of the country while all of this was happening.
And I was like, would really like to date RuthAnne. And now I kind of want to be a Christian again. And so I took you to buy groceries after coming back from out of the country.
Which I didn't know I thought you were just coming with me to the grocery store, but you ended up buying my groceries that day. I would never have agreed to go if I knew you were going to buy them.
Well, and I'm just pushing my cart and I'm like, yeah, I think I want to go back to church. And you in your head.
I literally this is a moment that will live in my brain for the rest of my life. It's just it's a core memory, as the kids say. But I was walking in front of the cart, you were pushing it, and you said something about I think I'm Christian again or something. I'm going to be Christian again. And I turned around so fast, and the inside of my brain was literally screaming no, which is sounds so awful. But I remember being that's the only reason I wouldn't date him, was because he wasn't Christian. And so now I was now I have no reason not to date him. And that's basically how we
and
ended up
now
dating.
Fast forward for those who are unaware with older, more ancient forms of personality types. The 4 classic personality types or dispositions or whatever. It's sanguine, kind of being fun or pleasure oriented. Melancholic, I think it's self-explanatory. phlegmatic, kind of
Mhm.
go with the flow, and choleric, kind of like being tense and disagreeable. And both of us are at least somewhat sanguine.
Sanguines.
And
Yeah.
so now we've had a friend say they're just a couple of sanguines
Having fun. And it's true. It is true. We are just a couple sanguines having fun.
Yeah.
But you're a choleric, and I'm pretty sure I'm phlegmatic, which also works out well because I'm just more go with the flow. Like,
so my desire for putting things the way I want them doesn't really lead to that many
conflicts.
issues.
Yeah, because I'm
you're
just
pretty
like,
go with the
okay,
flow.
sure. Yeah, that's fine.
It'll be a bigger issue with Rose, our daughter, because Rose is choleric.
Rose is choleric. Our oldest, she is.
We'll have a battle of the wills when she's 16.
Yeah, I feel like I'm already having a battle of the wills because even though I'm phlegmatic and I'm like, I'm also still the mom, so I'm in charge, and I'm like, no, you can't do that. Well, you're not going to do it your way. But she definitely thinks that she's the mom. She is a little mom.
Honestly, I think all of them so far, other than Leo, are kind of at least
somewhat
primary or secondary.
Yeah, choleric. Yeah, I would agree. Finn definitely choleric.
Yeah, in June when
yeah.
claws come out with June.
Yeah, Juniper is sorry, I know we're going off topic, but Juniper's personality just is so funny because she is so like literally angelic, like just little
cherub
angel,
baby.
even looks like a little cherub baby with her little cheeks and all these things. But man, if she even like thinks that someone is about to wrong her, it's on. Like it is just 0 to 100 in like a split second. And you're like, it like scares you. You're like, oh, where did that come from? Yeah. Yes. They're all so sweet in their own ways.
So
yes,
we ended up getting married.
Yeah.
And
that's how it ended. We got married in 2019.
2019,
Yep.
May of 2019. And then, so January of 2020 was 5 years at Nice Ventures. And we were married. We were going to have our first child in May of 2020. And we had ambitions and aspirations of homeschooling and maybe down the road even homesteading. And I always had a little bit of an entrepreneurial or maybe independent streak in me of some kind. And so working for myself sounded good. I really actually went to college to study business more generally, but both my friend's father that's been referenced and my grandfather, who was an owner in that family, the tobacco and candy wholesale business, both told me to study accounting if I wanted to learn business. So I ended up becoming an accountant, though that really wasn't my intention. And so it kind of just felt like a good jumping off point. It was easier to start I figured it'd be easier to start a business when we're having our first kid
than like 3 kids. Yes, I remember that conversation. Because we were like, we felt and I think it was a little different, but a little similar conversation. We had talked about before we got married whether or not I was going to just leave my job, which was with you at Nice. Because if I stayed, I was going to have to move to a different office, just go somewhere, do another one of the businesses.
We were scared we'd get dependent on.
But we were worried, like, we don't want to get dependent on 2 incomes because we knew that as soon as we had our first child that I was going to become a stay-at-home mom. I wasn't going to work anymore. And of course, then we got pregnant right away. And so Rosie was born right after our 1-year anniversary. And so, yeah, it was same thing. I mean, very similar situation where we were like, we could do this now or we could do it later, but later will, I think, be harder. And so, yeah, we decided, which I remember our conversation at the time because you had brought it up a few different times. We would just talk about it at night before we went to bed and such. And I remember kind of thinking, because I just didn't have an entrepreneurial mindset. And I didn't really know what went into having your own accounting or bookkeeping business. Kind of thinking how does that even work? What do you do?
I barely knew how it worked. I did accounting for all kinds of small businesses, all owned by the same guy. And so one of his business associates he had formed a partnership with, Lex Lawn Care. Um, but it was more so, it wasn't because they were starting a lawn care business. Matt Potts, the owner, had been doing that for a long time. But there was some mutual benefits of partnering together for a certain number of years. But then they were then again ready to go their own ways and let Matt have full ownership again. And so I had already been doing Matt's accounting for a few years because of that. And so I was like, Matt, I'm thinking about maybe starting my own just accounting business. Do you want me to do yours still? And he was like, yeah, the things have been so easy with you doing it all these years. And now, then I don't have to skip a beat. So we said, cool. That's more than $0 in revenue.
Yeah.
We're quitting.
Yeah. And we had
February 1st, 2020, Bonaventure Bookkeeping.
Yes.
Started.
6 weeks before the world shut down for COVID. And we had, I don't remember exactly.
Had some savings.
Yeah. We had a little bit it wasn't much. We had a little bit of savings. And our daughter was due mid-May, which was our first. And we were like, okay, we have about 3.5 months till we have baby, and you're going to go out on your own and start your own business. Then the world shuts down. It was just a crazy time. That first whole year just felt like
insane.
It was insanity. We lived off of looking back now, so little. I mean,
I think it's little enough that it's not inappropriate to just say hard numbers.
Yeah, because it was just
our AGI. So before, whatever. I don't need to explain that.
Yeah,
go look it up. Our AGI on our tax return was $30,000.
Yeah. Yep.
That was that plus savings. We lived off that.
Yes. And we just had our first baby. Yeah. I mean, and Rosie is the most wonderful little girl, but she was, your first time parent, you don't know what you're doing. And so we had a lot of ups and downs with her as far as just our breastfeeding journey and things things didn't go. And then we also, in that first year, 3 months after Rosie was born, found out we were pregnant with Leo, our second. And so it was
Irish
just
twins.
Yes, Irish twins are 12 months apart. It was just an insane year. I mean, 2020 obviously was crazy for everyone because of COVID, but just left your job, started your own business, COVID, had a baby, got pregnant again. It lived off of nothing. Yeah. It was a true, honestly, in a lot of ways, I think it was a true first year of marriage. I know it was a little more than a year, but it's a lot of people talk about the first year of marriage or first few years, we lived off nothing.
I guess that was technically year 2.
Yeah, I guess it was technically year 2 because we got married in 2019, but it definitely was
that was a wild ride.
It was.
And then in the middle of that, sorry, okay, that's not totally true. The AGI wasn't 30,000. We had a little bit more because we had at least 1 month of a W-2. The business itself produced net income of 30,000.
Well,
but we had 1 month of W-2 and we had a second business.
Yes, I was going to actually mention that during that time, and we only did it maybe it was about a year because Bonaventure Bookkeeping took off, and time-wise we just did not. But around the time that you were talking about leaving your job, I got this crazy idea because I do that a lot. And I had seen people making these wooden signs, it's on Etsy. And I was like, we should do that. We had no experience in anything to do with wood carving, wood cutting.
Also, you did not say, we should do that. You
so
said
you wanted
to make.
And then, in all honesty, Aaron basically did all of it. I was pregnant. No, I'm just joking.
So these cute round circle name signs that you put in a baby's room or a little kid's room.
Yes, and our most popular ones were actually Aaron came up with an amazing idea, which I remember at the time being I don't know how that'll do, but it was niche enough that it worked. And we did a lot of saint signs. So Saint, what was it, St. Thomas Aquinas, pray for us.
And then put a Dominican emblem in there.
And we did those. And we were doing that pretty heavily while I was pregnant with Rosie. So it's around the time you left the job and such. And I actually remember what ended up being the night I went into labor, we had made that porch sign. It was a summer porch sign. And it was we went to Home Depot and bought the 2 single dog-eared picket, 6 foot tall, 5 foot tall, whatever. And we nailed them together, and painted it. And we cut out little popsicles and they said, spelled out summer. And we listed.
Did we say clearly we bought an X-carve?
Yes, sorry, we bought an X-carve machine, which was a wood carving machine, and it took us like months to figure out how to get it all together and working.
I had to manually put it together, and I am not engineer minded at all.
Yeah,
not handy at all. But so that was hard. Like every other step, I would put a piece on backwards and have to redo it. And so it connects to your computer. You put designs in, and it'll engrave or cut plywood and whatever, stuff like that.
Which was so cool. I mean, I look back on that, I'm like, that was so cool that that we did that.
Yeah. So like for the Saint ones, you can still look up on, in some of these products, it's closed. We don't sell them anymore, but the Colette's Carvings Instagram is still out.
Yes, it's still up.
So you can go look that and see what we used to make.
Yeah, see what we used to make. And I remember I made this summer sign for me. I was like, I want one. Like, this is what I want. And so then we ended up listing on Etsy. And again, it was the day that I ended up going to labor with Rosie. It was that night. We sold like 7 or 8 in one day, which was like wild. We were like, what? Like
we caught that popsicle summer wave.
Yeah, we did. And it just kept, I remember my phone kept dinging and I was like, we sold another one. And then literally later that night, I went into labor with Rosie and we had her that night. And so like the first week of like newborn baby Rosie, Aaron was making popsicle summer signs. But it was awesome. It was so much fun. And a lot of our pictures, if you go back and look, like I'm holding the sign, you can't see my face, but you can see my big pregnant belly with Rosie. So that was so much fun. And I love like looking back at those pictures, or we've even like over the years, even though our shop is closed, we had gotten messages for a while being like, can we still buy a Saint sign? And they were,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
We also either gave or had plenty of local people buy them. That it's fun still to go to people's houses or this or that and still
we'll
see the
occasional
signs. Yeah. For our church, our pastor actually asked us, he has a little statue of St. Michael the Archangel outside of our church and a covering, and it's protected with some plexiglass, but at the top there was a opening. And he was like, could you make a sign to put over that opening there? And so it's just still to this day. It's actually held up decent.
Yes, because like I mean, it's in the elements.
Yeah,
you know,
it was exterior plywood painted with white, and then we just engraved into it Saint Michael the Archangel, Ora pro nobis, and what was the emblem we put on there?
It's the Saint Michael. It's like the wings with the sword.
Yeah, that was. Yeah,
and the
that
funny
was cool.
thing
wings with a
is
sword.
that like
and
those
the
wings
shield had a cross on it.
Yes, and those wings were so hard to cut. And I kid you not, that was like the first one we made, like and we were like, we want to give it to the church and whatnot. The only one that we ever made where the wings came out, and every single one we tried to do after that, the wings kept breaking, like because it was like a really thin, like
I think the exterior plywood made it slightly more sturdy.
Yes, actually. And so I was like, how crazy is it? The first thing we ever make, and we're like, we want to, make it for our church, is the only one that ever turned out. But we would have people order the St. Michael, and we're like, hey, we're kind of sorry, but this wing.
Yeah, we'd have to like touch it up.
Yeah, with like
little pretty.
Yeah. But I remember too when we kind of were like, okay, I think we have to stop. And it was like that fall or that winter. It wasn't that long.
I think we did it. We did it for a full year.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree. But it was like, sorry.
But somewhere in year 2.
We were just like, because you were doing all the stuff.
Ends meet at that point with bookkeeping. And so I was just like.
And I don't know if you remember this, and I won't say who it was, but I remember there was like a night we had a conversation where we were like, we need to pick basically at this point. It was pretty kind of early on. Well, it was early on in both of them because they're both new businesses, but you were just going all the time.
Ragged.
Yeah. And we were like, we got to pick one. And
any dollar helped pay the bills.
Yes. And we were both kind of like, well, what do we pick? But I think you obviously knew we would go with Bonaventure Bookkeeping. But I was more like, I have no idea. I don't necessarily want to stop Colette's Carvings, but
it was cool
that
to make
next
products.
morning you had gotten an email from an old client saying that they were no longer going to be a client. You probably don't remember who it is, but if I'd mentioned it, you wouldn't be shocked. You would know what I'm talking about. And when you told me that, instantly I knew. I was like, we have to shut down Colette's Carvings. Even though it wasn't that, it was someone from the Bonaventure side, I just was like, it scared me that like oh no, are we going to choose this other business? Because I think that actually Aaron needs to choose Bonaventure Bookkeeping. And so after that, we kind of winded down. And we didn't just outright close Colette's. We kind of just like let it naturally wind down. And then when we kind of ran out.
Posting and pushing stuff online and whatever. Yes. We used to come up with ideas and proof of concepts and then post about them. And we just kind of stopped doing that. Let it kind of just wind down for a bit.
Yeah. It was fun. You did all of the manual labor 100%. Like I basically did none of it. I did do like social media and some of like the marketing and stuff, but it was fun to do something like together.
It was probably the most creative thing I've ever done.
Oh yeah. You were very creative. It's funny because
it was a nice little outlet.
It was. Yeah, it was fun. It just ended up like, I think the reason, I'd had a baby and then I was pregnant again. And so you did all the manual stuff, but it takes a lot of time to do just one sign. And we weren't even doing what a lot of these sign people, a lot of sign people did like more what's considered like 3D, where they would print out the word, cut out the word, and then
small, thin interior plywood and shapes and stack that on top.
And they are just
for the most part, like for the standing signs, we did some of that.
Yes.
But even then, like we definitely leaned more into engraving into it rather than like cutting out 1,000 shapes and stacking everything on top.
Because you have to sand every little thing, and it was like
sand all that stuff. And you got glue everything.
Yeah,
it was just it was much more time efficient.
Yeah, we were like, we don't have time to.
I have memories of like the summer, like working downstairs because at the time we were renting in New Albany. From my old boss, and it was a nice house that they renovated, but it was an older house, and it had like a
garage
that you drive down into, and that's where we had the wood shop, and I would have the garage doors open. I'd have be sanding stuff or painting stuff or staining stuff, and I'd be listening to the Stillwater Hobos, some bluegrass music, or not really, folk.
Yeah. Good times.
So within Bonaventure Bookkeeping continued to take off, and we that was 2020. We completely were able to provide for ourselves in 2021 with Bonaventure Bookkeeping.
Had Leo.
We had Leo.
That summer.
I took on some tax prep work because I was introduced to somebody who had her own tax prep company, and she wanted some help processing stuff. And she was willing to pay me while doing all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, great. I should learn, learning taxes is pretty close to the world of the bookkeeping and financial accounting. So let's do it. But then as soon as we were about to start tax season, she decided to go work for the IRS and arranged a commission agreement with me for anyone that did come to me to do their taxes, which was horrible. I didn't like that at all. It was just very stressful. And I've said this is kind of my go-to phrase when I talk about this, which is that like, if you mess up somebody's books, you just fix it. If you mess up somebody's tax return, you have to go through the whole process of amending someone's tax return.
Yeah.
And so did that for 2 years because bookkeeping, I guess, Bonaventure Bookkeeping provided in 2021 in full, also including tax work.
Yes.
But then after 2 years of doing some personal tax return work in 2024, we were able to drop doing taxes because bookkeeping itself was completely providing.
Yeah.
And then 25, wait, what year is it now?
26.
Yeah, so then 24, 25, no taxes. And then the tail end of 25, but then really 2026. We started doing taxes again because we opened up Pax Bonum Tax in Hampton, who is a team member, got a CPA, and he's a partner in the tax entity. And now we're doing taxes again, but I don't do the taxes. And we also are much more capable of the kinds of taxes we can do now because Hampton's really on top of that.
Well, and as from what I understand, if someone's like, "Hey, can you do my taxes?" You're like, "Yeah, sure." But it's a lot of it is like your clients that you
Yeah.
that you
Well, I
mostly
mean, at
do.
this point, I mean, if anyone who wants us to do the
Yeah.
taxes, we can. Just whether or not they want us to.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so in the midst there, I thought that this was gonna be like, you said, how do you even do an accounting business? And at the time, I thought it would be something like how it was in East Ventures. I'd have QuickBooks Desktop on my computer, and I would find a handful of people like Matt Potts and Lex Lawn Care who like needed me to do things on my own for them. And, on some sort of routine basis, I would send them financials, but that ultimately all the accounting would just kind of like be completely dislodged from them and just and I would have it basically in my office or my home office or whatever. But very quickly realized with the cloud and how modern apps and software was working, everything could be done not locked away on my computer, but on QuickBooks Online, because I knew QuickBooks Online existed, but I hadn't really used it at Nice. We used like an enterprise level version of QuickBooks Desktop.
Yeah.
And, but then once I realized, like, okay, we really, I started picking up a couple clients that were like already had QuickBooks Online, and I was like, oh, this like really just everyone just needs to be on this
QuickBooks Online.
So that everyone has access to the data all the time, and you can sync your bank account and do this and do that, and sending invoices was so much easier than sending invoices through desktop, and yeah, everything's just way more seamless when it's all in the cloud. And so I was really, and it's not just QuickBooks Online. I mean, there's all kinds of accounting, or it ties into your accounting type of apps that like this entire ecosystem was already there. It's not like it was actively growing as I was starting, but it was very much already there.
Yeah.
And so I was basically pushing on an open door with the idea of a virtual bookkeeping company. It was, people were already doing that. I just didn't realize it.
Yeah. And like, I remember when you would come home and be like, yeah, I talked to an ADP rep because I'm going to do payroll. And I signed up for bill.com so I can pay this person. And I'm like, what? You can do all of these things? Like when I thought of ADP, like, I use that at Nice because I would process payroll, but I'm like, I just thought like big companies use ADP. I wasn't thinking about like my husband who owns his own bookkeeping business, but it's part of bookkeeping and accounting. Not every client, but some of them. And so I'm like, oh, and now you have your ADP rep and it's just like all these things that just seem like they should be for these big companies. And it's like, no, even small business needs payroll.
On the payroll side, because HR handled payroll and accounting just entered the journal entry, there was a learning curve there for me.
Yeah.
That luckily I had, a lot of goodwill with Matt Potts, because understanding, I didn't know what forms, like, because we were doing his payroll on QuickBooks Desktop. So we weren't the only automation was that I think we had it to where the direct deposits could go through for anyone who wanted it. Maybe not. Maybe we were still cutting physical checks, but it would do the accruals and would print out the forms so I could send it off. But I didn't even know what those forms were in the early days. It's like, okay, so form 941 with the IRS is what you send every quarter to the IRS for payroll. But then it's like, oh, if you process, X amount of payroll each month, or each payroll cycle, whatever, you're supposed to be sending in deposits to the IRS even before the quarter's over. And so like then he was getting late penalties.
Yeah, and you're like,
and I was like,
sorry.
So that took some
learning curves.
Yeah, there's a learning curve. Now I know basically everything I need to know about payroll, but and helped people get employee retention tax credits and PPP loans, and those two things were pretty interesting happening around the time we started, because
that was during
was
COVID.
Just, it's not every day that an accountant gets to help you get money.
Yeah.
So that was nice to help people with that. And so I don't remember what year this was. when it would have been around the time we were at the we did end up doing a little bit of homesteading. We lived out in the country for 3 years. But we had serious mold issues and had to move in with some friends. What year were we living with the Tylers?
That was we moved in September of 22.
Okay.
And we moved out and back to our house in mid-January of 23 when Juniper was 2 weeks old. Juniper was born, our third baby, on January 1st, 2023, and we were still living with the Tylers. Also, shout out the Tylers.
Yeah. So shouting out everyone. Sooner than, well, that was year 3. It's 2020, yeah, 21, okay. 22. So year 3 then, at the tail end of year 3, we hire our first employee.
Oh, do you want to say who your first employee is? She asked me to tell you to mention
my mom. Which
Deanne.
was because
she said when I told her we were doing the podcast about you, she was like, make sure you mention that I was his first employee.
She was. Which was both of a point of pride and I was mildly embarrassed by that.
Yes,
because I didn't want to constantly tell people like
it's my mom.
Like, I got it's it's me and my mom. They were near counting. But it was a point of pride because like I wanted her to be my first employee. Yes. My mother.
You talked about that for basically since you started the business. Yeah. So like when you
had the means, I wanted.
Yes, when you wanted to hire someone, you wanted your mom to be the first one.
Because she has a business. She doesn't have an accounting degree, but she has a business degree from IU Kelly School of Business. She worked in office jobs all my life, but in the last
decade,
decade. She had been laid off and she had been just doing painting work, not like artistic painting, but just interior walls.
Which she's very talented at.
She's good at.
She's really good at.
And she's in good health and very mobile. So she still does it now as some side hustle work. But I felt like I wanted to be able to say, I wanted my mom to be able to not have to be chasing after the next client. I wanted my mom to be able to have the comfortable office job again, stability, and all that kind of stuff. And so
you knew she was capable. You're like, I know you've done all this, like most of everything before. Yeah.
And she's, for the stuff she doesn't know, she's capable of learning. And so,
she was your first employee.
And so they came to us catch-up work, and so they agreed to the price I was hoping based on their size, and called my mom up and was like, I need you.
I need you to work for me. And I kind of remember that moment, not necessarily when you called your mom, but I do remember, which this leads into just one of those stories. I won't even go into it, but it's just like, the stories we have. It was when we had salmonella, everybody but me, and you got like so many. Do you remember like that? Because you were sick for like straight up.
I was
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And mind you, we have Rosie and Leo, and I'm pregnant with Juniper. I'm the only one who did not get sick. Everyone was, all of our family was like out of town for like various trips. So it was literally me taking care of all of you. And you were getting like bombarded with people, like new clients calling you to be like, hey, I'm looking for bookkeeping, blah, blah.
And I think it was just the month prior we had already signed like two or three decent sized clients.
Yes.
Which was Holy Angels Academy and Jim. I think it
was Jim
Norton's Rentals and
that happened like while we everyone, like, you're so sick. And what we were like, I remember you were sitting in like the like recliner chair because you were just so sick, and I was sitting on the couch and you were like, I think like it's like I think we've made it moment, and not in like an extravagant way. It was just like, okay,
we're doing more than just the bare minimum.
Yes, we're doing more than the bare minimum. We're gonna be okay. And that was late summer, early fall, right before we found out we had mold, which is probably how the salmonella even happened. But
we were raising chickens.
Yeah,
and we had the first round of chickens. We had friends pitch in on so. We were the original batch was like 100. Only like 70, 75.
Made it, I think,
but it was an old farmhouse out in Mount Eden, Kentucky, and there was this enclosed but not air conditioned portion of steps that went down from the kitchen to the backyard and down to a rain cellar. or a storm cellar, and we had this big giant like black farm basin that had all the chicks in it, and we hadn't finished the.
We were still building the coop.
We were still building the chicken tractors.
So these were not egg-laying chickens; these were meat chickens. Yeah.
And so they were getting they were getting too big for that basin based on the quantities we had, and but then everything was just so crazy as far as work and getting the chicken tractors built and this and that. And so the Tylers who we lived with also helped finish the chicken tractors.
That was the day you got sick. Yeah, you came home and you were like,
we have to get them out of here.
Yes. And
and so they were in our house, but
they weren't like in our like kitchen, whatever. It was down in like a cellar area that was like down by our back door. And that whole summer we had been so sick.
Between the mold and having so many chickens in that basin, quasi in the house.
Yes.
Got us.
And at the time that happened, like we had moved in late April. And mind you, that I was like first trimester with Juniper. So like everything smells to me. Everything is, I'm like, oh, this is disgusting. And we moved in and I was like, there's a smell. This is before we had the chickens. So it wasn't the chickens at this point. It's like, there's a smell, Aaron. And I don't know what it is, but it is like, makes me nauseous.
And then summer came and then it was humid.
It was humid.
So humid.
And Rosie and Leo were like sick all throughout that, like off and on all that summer. And it was right around the time we got salmonella. All the time it must have been after we got salmonella. But I was at the point where I was like, I don't know what is going on. And I said that to you. I was like, I'm so confused. Like at this point, I think it was Rosie she was just throwing up. And we were like, I don't know what's going on. And we had both commented about how everything tasted metallic-y. And we like, why does our mouth taste metallic all the time? And we had a wonderful contractor. He came over because we were going to get a flooring issue in Leo's room taken care of. And he went under our house in the crawl space and came back and was like,
y'all got mold.
Y'all have mold. He's like, he's like, it's the entire thing.
Yeah.
And we had the air quality tested and it was like, it 5 times?
Off the charts.
Yes. The kitchen, Rosie's room was like this first or second worst room in like the whole house.
Yeah.
Which is why she was sick.
The kitchen was really bad. I mean, the whole house was bad.
Yeah. And so we
moved in with friends.
I moved in with friends, the Tylers. Yep. And so we had the whole house like, to tell you how much we did and how we like all the mold was gone. We had the air quality tested again,
and it was below.
It was literally below the average. It was like the mold.
Not just below the average. It was below.
Because average I said was like
what
3.
They say is acceptable. Levels in a house.
Because we had a whole remediation.
They say like 10 to 20% is acceptable normal mold count in your air quality test, but it was
like 3%.
It was less than 2%.
Was it really?
It was right at less than or right at 2%.
So they were like, "Yeah, you don't have any mold now." Yeah. But it was
several months after we had renovated everything and got the mold remediated and paid to get the entire
we had to have all the floors taken out
and sized and built crawl space completely encapsulated.
Yeah, encapsulated. We had to tear out all the original floors because it was just
It was a wild ride.
It
was a wild ride.
It was.
So after 3 years we left.
Yes.
Not
because of the house. We honestly we had done everything.
By the time we had done everything, we liked the house.
We loved the house. It was great. And thankfully we actually, even when we sold it, we had like a lot of compliments on. We were like, thanks. Cause it was a lot of tears. But no, we moved because
the business was still growing.
This was still growing.
Doing chickens and a garden while our family was still growing because we're now 3 kids in.
At that point.
Yeah. It was just too much to be driving to
We lived
town.
45 minutes from like everything that we did. Like all of your like nothing was close. The closest grocery store was like 20 minutes, which except for they actually did build a Dollar General around the corner and like the year before that we moved. But yeah, we were 20 minutes, which that doesn't sound like maybe to some people like.
But that was 20 minutes to the closest commercial thing at all.
Yes, it wasn't even like it was. It's not like it was Costco, which is where we do most of our shopping, So yeah, we were just like we're living in the car, basically. Yeah, we were living in the car, and we just were like, by the time we moved, we had Finn, so we had 4 kids, under the age of 5. We had 4 and under at that point.
Yeah.
Because Rosie wasn't 5 yet. And we were like, we live in the car.
I have 5, 6 and under.
Yeah, now, in case you can't tell, maybe, I don't know.
Little baby Clementine.
Yeah, little baby Clementine. This is my official announcement because I don't even think I've announced it on like anything. But yeah, so we're going to have here very soon 5, 6 and under. But now we live in town, which is so, I never thought, not that I never thought we'd move back to town.
Great neighborhood for kids.
Yeah, we love where we live. But I really was like, I want to have a garden and have some more space. And so I was always like, no, I'm not moving. At least I'm not moving back to Louisville, no way. But then by the time we made the decision, it was very clear that we made the decision. Not really. It was very clear that God was like, no, you need to leave. Because all the things that fell into place, the way that it happened, it was like truly divine providence. And so that made me feel like, okay, and even when there was a split moment where we were going to rent, we thought we were going to rent for those few months while we were in contingent with the people who bought our house, and those few months. And then we found the house that we ended up buying 3 weeks before we were closing. And we had a moment where we were like, I don't know if this is actually going to work. If everything's going to work out, we don't know. I remember I said to you, we were laying in bed and I was like, Aaron, it literally sounds so crazy, but I just know this is going to work out. Even though it feels like all the odds were against it. And it was like, no, probably not even just because it's maybe we're a little house poor, but really just multiple things had to fall into place for it to work. And it just seemed so far fetched. And I was like, I don't know, but I really just feel like the Holy Spirit is like, no, this is going to be your house. And it was. And when we got the okay for everything, I was shocked. I was like, really? But also not shocked because I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And so everything worked out. And we love our house. We love where we live. It's great. It's we can walk so many places. When we were in the country, as much as it was it's idyllic and it was quieter, which is a big thing for me. I don't like things being loud.
I don't like hearing semis honk.
I don't like hearing I don't like hearing cars, but the house we found, it's just it's perfect. It's in a courtyard,
reverse cul-de-sac.
We're off the road. Yes, we're off the road. It just had all these things that I was like, I would have loved that in a house, but I wouldn't even necessarily say I want that in a house because it just seemed like, oh, that's not, you're not gonna get a house with that. And so it just truly was exactly where we're supposed to be, where God wanted us to be. And we even though I'm pregnant, push the kids to the YMCA. We go on nightly walks we have multiple parks with the pool, so it has been amazing for our family. And we spend so much more time together now because you're not in the car, gone, all day. Cause we only have one car. We've been a one car family our entire marriage. And so when you would leave for work, you'd be gone all day. And so when you come home,
I would not be home at 5 because I needed to work.
Yes.
And so then I would drive home.
Yep.
And then so it'd be later.
And the kids and I were just at home. We wouldn't go, we spend most of our time at home anyway, but there was really no option to go anywhere. We're just sitting here. Yeah. If we have appointments, we got to do a whole,
And despite being out in the country and having some land, our house was right up on the road.
Yes, so it was.
Weren't able to just simply
let the kids go play
outside. You needed to be actively out there with them because they're so young and they could just wander into the road. And it was a good time. I mean, despite some of the sickness and whatever else, but
everything that happened, it was,
I
don't regret it.
As we've said, we don't regret anything that we've gone through, done, decided one way, then changed our mind another way. It's all part of growing up.
Yeah. And we wouldn't, there's no way, I don't think we would be where we are, especially in the house that we're in now and stuff, if we hadn't gone through all of that with Mount Eden, because we had remodeled, we put a lot of work into that house and it showed. And so thankfully, we were able to recoup what we had done. And so because of that, for the most part, but because of that, we were able to use that towards our house, which without that, I was like, that was also, where we were like,
shout out to our realtor, Jessica.
Jessica Bourne. We love Jessica. I love.
I mean, like
I comment on like everything
I think
she
we
posts.
got even. I mean, we got not like super duper dramatically more, but we got. I think our sales price was a little. It was a little higher than even what we thought.
We thought like we were gonna list it for this, and Jessica was like, "Well, let's give you wiggle room. List it a little more." And we got what we listed it for, and that was where I was like, "What?" Like, because we had a whole appraisal. It was a whole thing, and
we tried to list the house before.
Yes,
and it never really did anything. It was with a different realtor, but then with Jessica, she had it under a contingent contract in like 48 hours.
In 48 hours in the middle of a blizzard.
In the middle of a blizzard.
Yes,
while we're living in
Jessica,
the middle
you need to
of
clip
nowhere.
this and post this because I tell people this story all the time. I'm like, Jessica had our house listed. It went live the day that we got a blizzard in January of 25. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the worst timing. We got 3 showings within the first 24 hours, and the first people who saw the house put in the full offer. And that is who we ended up like, and that's not even all, like over, because we didn't end up moving until mid-April because they were contingent on their house. But we got multiple offers in that time period that we ended up being like, we want to stay with our original people. But like Jessica, honestly, no one works harder than Jessica. I've never met someone who works like her. She's amazing. She's wonderful. I tell people, I'm like, go to Jessica. Even now, I will text her with like, Jessica, I have a question. And she gets back to you like that. So if you're looking for a realtor, Jessica Bourne. She lives here in the neighborhood too. So she's great. I just saw she got some kind of, did you see that?
I don't know, but I don't know.
I don't know what it's called. She got
some kind of cool,
like the top
realtor,
top like 1%, 3%,
I don't know if it's
something in the country.
Or not, or if it's just like a designation. But she does good.
She does. She's wonderful.
So let's see, where are we at? So where are we at these days? So basically we have where we started with my mom. We've referenced that we have Hampton now that also is a partner on the tax side, but he's also, people don't really have their titles listed on their email, so the titles are kind of like loosely defined, but he's something along the lines of a senior accountant for us. And then we have 3 other employees on top of that now. We have Simon Westmeyer, who is soon to be my brother-in-law, our brother-in-law.
Yeah. Which worked out great for everyone, for Rachel and for us.
Before I let him intern with me, I said to Rachel, like, are you
serious? They weren't engaged at the time,
because like I don't really want your boyfriend,
your ex-boyfriend, or you never
end up being your ex-boyfriend who's working for me.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I mean, we talked about getting married. It's like, okay, cool. And he's fantastic. Him and Hampton are kind of like my number 2s, number 2 and 3, I guess, maybe. Hampton's got a CPA, but Simon's going to have it soon.
So, Simon's getting his CPA.
And then we have my older sister, Danielle. She works for us half-time, but soon enough, she'll work for us full-time.
When she moves back. Yeah.
And then, and so Danielle and my mother are kind of like our staff accountants, and Simon and Hampton are higher up. And then we also just recently brought on Ryan, and Ryan is helping us with onboarding, and I'm trying to train him to kind of just be primarily our onboarder. We might also transition him to helping us with some of our clients that we give some on-site attention to.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where things are at now. It's really rocking and rolling. We sign contracts faster than I can. That's bad to say, but like we signed it faster than I ever would have.
It's growing so quickly right now.
Thought we would have ever. I mean, I didn't think. Yeah, I thought I was just gonna be a little accounting contractor.
Yeah.
Maybe have my mom, so that I could help provide for her, and that we just kind of just have a little thing that helps pay the bills at the end of the day. But, I don't know, like one that admittedly it hasn't just been like, oh, it's just grown naturally and we've gone with it. There was at least one big moment where it was like, we're growing the business. Period. We have to. I guess you could say 2. One is the one that I guess you could say 2 is that post-COVID, inflation began, and it was just like the safest route to security at that point was just to grow the business rather than try and constantly increase everyone's prices or try and cycle clients out because I get a better one that pays the bills better. It's just like, but even all that kind of like leads to a sense of uncertainty where like if you become overly dependent on just your handful of high dollar clients, what happens when one of them leaves? And
yeah, because we did have I remember like a scary moment.
Yeah, we've had
still pretty early on when we thought we were going to lose a big client, and we were like, if that happens, there's no,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then, inflation and cost of living just we're getting, and they still aren't all that stable now, but they're more stable than they were. And so that's like the second one. But the other one is that like when all that mold stuff happened with our house, we had recently bought the house and we didn't have much equity in it. And we needed money to fix it, at least to make it at the time we weren't necessarily thinking about full on renovations, but we just at least
we had
needed to make it livable.
Yeah.
And so we had to go to a lender of last resort who is a dear loved one. And I told them that they would be paid back come heck or or high water, like in like 48 months. I was like, I don't necessarily, the payments I'm going to start you out on is not going to be capable of paying you back in 48 months, but we're going to pay you back in like 2 years. And we did it.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was a little.
It was 2 years.
It was because,
it was 24 months.
It was. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I was thinking, because I think for a second we thought like, are we going to do a little earlier? But it was right at 2 years. Yes, that was. Sorry, when we like talk about all these things at once, it's like all the different things we have done, and we just celebrated 7 years of marriage last week.
Yeah, and it's our 7th year of the business.
7th year of the business. I mean, it's just life happens so fast.
Our 5th child on the way.
5th child.
We said everyone's names other than Finn, so child number 4 was Finn.
Yeah. So Finbar. we can name them all: Rosie, Leo, Juniper, Finbar. And this
is Clementine.
It's a little girl. So 5 children, and Rosie is about to turn 6. So next week she'll be 6, and this baby's due in July. And so we will have 5 babies, 6 and under, which is
wild.
It's wild. But I love it. Honestly, like every day is like something different. Today was a little rougher than like yesterday. I was like, and most of this week, I've been like, wow, what a great week. We've had a great time. Today was a little rough. Honestly, I think they're getting a little, it's been raining all week. Yeah, it's rained all week long. They're getting stir crazy. Inside. So we're all just like on each other, but it's wonderful. Like I would say, not that anyone needs to know this, has nothing to do with Bonaventure Bookkeeping, but it was really, really hard for me when we decided that I was going to go home after we got married, because I started working when I was 15, got my first job, and I've basically I had worked ever since then, 1 or 2 jobs always. And I just like, definitely like the go, 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 kind of mentality. And so then it was like, okay, I'm just going to be home, which when you don't have a child or just one is like, okay, well, this is fun, but what do I do? And then like, there just felt like at the time, I felt like there was so much empty time. And now I'm like, there's no time for anything. And it's just go, go, go 24/7. You're overstimulated all the time, but it's great. I love them. And I'm just like, it's gone by so fast. We were saying how Rosie's about to be 6, and we were like, we do that one more time and she's 12. And I said, and we do it 2 more times and she's 18. And 6 years has felt like nothing. And so I can't believe that I'm like, we're only going to do that 2 more times and then we have an adult. So yeah, it's crazy. So
yeah. Well, I think we've gone past an hour.
We're over it. We just kept talking. Well,
yeah. So Bonaventure Bookkeeping, that's more of our personal journey than the businesses, but that's.
Hopefully you guys like that. Yeah. I like listening to people's personal stories. Hopefully other people do too.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is overly intimate details about the business story would either be crass because you'd be talking about dollars and cents, or it would be about other clients that I shouldn't be talking about. So
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Thanks for listening.
If you need
or watching,
if you need financial statements is like the core of what I get. Even just the other week, we had somebody who signed that, they'll be a small client, but they're like, so like, we'll get like financial statements from you. We'll get the income statement or profit and loss and such. I'm like, yeah, like that's the core of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
What we do for you is you're going to have a P&L and a balance sheet, and maybe if you want it, a couple other reports, but those will be produced every month. What we're doing is by definition that. And then if everything else builds off of that, do you need or want payroll? Do you need or want invoicing your customers? Like, want us involved in that? Do you want us involved in paying your bills? If you're like a nonprofit or a construction company, there's stuff in QuickBooks allowing us to track, what they call projects, but you could use it for like restricted use income and expenses on nonprofit side, or just tracking how you spent money on a particular grant or program. On construction side, obviously, you have jobs that you need to track individually, and yeah, I'm trying to think.
Well, I would say you're always open. You're always doing small business. Like that is what you specialize in, is small business accounting. But are there any particular businesses that you are like, hey, if you need an accountant, I'm your guy? I know we love
at the turn of this year. We
love the boutique gyms.
Yeah,
we love
at the turn
them.
of this year, I really want to try and get a really. Wasn't trying to make the business focus on that, but I wanted to try to at least
get a few
nurture a little side niche of like boutique gyms along the lines, like maybe more so focused on like group fitness gyms, like Legree, Pilates, etc. That did not materialize. Literally.
Wait, yeah, but you do have a few.
No, we have a few.
Yes, but you haven't gotten any more.
There was a push. I tried to tell so many people, like, hey, I really want to try and like get some more of that. Like, we have like, especially if they're using Mariana Tech for their like app POS system and scheduling thing. Like, we just have, it'll like be the same process across like 10, 20, 30 clients.
Yeah,
be so efficient. We picked up. And I sent out like swag boxes, like cold mailed out swag boxes with handwritten letters to people, and really I tried to push that on my BNI, tried to really push on our existing Legree clients to be like, hey, like, I would love.
Which they did do. They did their part. They tried.
They did their part for sure.
Actually, how you got your other
literally
zero. Yeah. Hey, I did actually see that the Legree Summit is in like Las Vegas or something later this year.
So maybe we should go there. Give out matching sets of yellow Bonaventure
Bookkeeping matching sets. There you go.
So, but so I like to. Just yesterday, I was talking with a New York client. They're trying to understand their accounting. They're trying to understand their costs that go into their business, how they're pricing things, and they're not making money yet, and they do have debt, and they are a Catholic family with children, and they have a friend helping, maybe from more of a financial perspective. They have, the wife is clearly involved at least in a back office kind of way, but they have children and such, and I could sense like a general tenseness. I have a wife, and I was just like,
who? Okay.
Yeah, no, but I could just tell like there was an anxiety there.
Yeah.
And it's nice that now, being 7 years into this, seeing so many different kinds of organizations, that I can speak with relative confidence and accuracy about like, hey, like, based on what you're doing and what I see other places, like you should really be aiming for this kind of margin. Like you should be aiming for 20%, 20% because of the kind of work you guys do and such. And so like if someone's quoting a job thinking that's going to take 3 days, but it's actually like between start and stop and this and that, like, you need to take all those extra hours into consideration to make sure that your margin's there so that you're paying your other costs in the business. But then at the end of the day, after doing X number of jobs, you guys have something to take home, pay the bills.
Yeah.
And so, those little guys, I don't always have all the time in the world to give everyone hyper personalized attention. But it's nice to be able to help those people and give them more peace of mind.
Yeah.
So it is fun.
You've got a big,
and obviously honestly, the biggest clients aren't my favorite anyway, because
don't say that.
they need me so much. They need the whole team so much.
No, but
it's the medium clients.
Yeah.
The medium clients are the golden clients.
Yeah.
It's like you have a very clear set of like, this is what we're doing for you. And there's not many, there's less need or opportunities to bend over backwards for them, which I like to help our clients, whether small or big. But it's always the smallest and the biggest clients that ask the most of you. Whereas the ones right there in the middle,
are just like, cool, you're doing it. Thanks. There you go.
But that's vague. No one really knows necessarily what's a small or big or medium.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I was like, don't say you like your big clients. We guys actually, especially one, we love them.
I like all of them.
I know.
Yeah. So there we go.
Awesome.
That's that.